Hi guys, good afternoon or good evening should I say, and welcome to episode 8 of Mentors of Script. We have got a very interesting subject today that we thought we'd bring up. I think it gets talked to quite a lot about in the world. Most people know absolutely nothing about it, but everyone does have an opinion on it, so we thought we'd bring it up today. But first of all, I'd like to say hello and welcome back to our panelists. So the familiar faces, we have Myrish, Minde, Peter and Vishal, and this week we've actually brought in a special guest who is Lena, who is actually interactive all the way from Germany today. She will be doing most of the questions because we've all admitted that it's a very interesting subject, which is artificial intelligence. But none of us have a clue about it, but we do have our opinions on it. Lena herself, I know, has worked for years and years and years in AI and marketing. So we thought what we'd do instead of us kind of debating and going back and forth and things, we thought we'd pass over to Lena, let her fire away questions. We're going to give our opinions on those, and I'm sure Lena will agree or disagree on some of those, and then give her own opinion on those too. So yeah, I'll pass you over to Lena.
Meet you. Thank you for having me on your podcast today. So my name is Lena. I come from kind of an advertising industry background. I've worked in kind of innovative tech startups for about 8 years, and a large chunk of that was in a company that focused quite heavily on using AI to optimize online ad delivery, basically. So I've led some workshops around artificial intelligence and the use of it in advertising before. I guess I'm a bit of a science nerd, you can say. I love to read and kind of learn about technology, and specifically about how AI is kind of shaping our future, and hopefully going to change our world for the better. So we shall see. So I'm going to jump kind of straight into the questions and get everyone's opinion on it. It's a very divisive subject, I guess, but kind of to start it off, I think Stephen Hawking said it quite nicely when he said AI will either be the best or the worst thing that will ever happen to humanity. So my first question is, what do you think? Is it going to be the best or the worst thing?
I'll fire this. Who should we go for first? I think Marish is itching. He looks like he's itching to answer this one.
It was just an itch, mate.
Was it?
It was just an itch. Yeah.
He's vibrating. He's like... What's your opinion on that, Marish?
Okay, cool. Firstly, welcome Lena to the to our little podcast or little YouTube thing. So it's nice to have you on. So let me think. Is it the best thing or the worst thing? In my opinion, I'm pretty certain with my thought process that is pushing towards it being the worst thing our humanity has ever seen. I think a lot of people can look at AI and say, oh, it's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's going to make these things easier in our lives, we're going to be able to do this, it's going to be able to make our lifestyle better in this way or that way. But in theory, I think technology in general, if you think about, like, if you rewind back thousands of years and you look at us as a human race, even if there was violence in us, or if there was wanting to like go battle each other, everything will be on a small scale, be face to face. Whereas now, like with the fact that you can like destroy a whole country with a click of a button, you just think if you could do that now, in 10 years time, no, not 10 years time, in like 50 years time, maybe 100 years time, is that the end of the human race? Is that like one person making a wrong decision and that's it, we're all done, like the whole world is gone? I think that was my first thing that's that is tickling me inside. I'm there thinking, like, hold on a second, AI is developing at such a quick rate that actually it's gonna go beyond our intelligence. Well, it's gone beyond our intelligence, but it's gonna get to the point where all it needs is someone bad that controls it, or someone bad that programs it, or someone with wrong intention to do something out of place, and then suddenly, with a click of a finger, that's it. We're all done. So that's my first point. I'll let you pass it on to someone else.
I do.
Few more.
I bet Morris has got a few more in the bag, hasn't he?
More in the bag.
See,
yeah,
I was totally against it when you first said that you're against it. I was like, no, I'm definitely for it. But I do kind of agree with what you said there, that it does all depend on, I guess, on who's controlling it in the first place. Obviously, artificial intelligence needs to be created, doesn't it? And it does depend. You know, there's plenty of good people in the world. There's plenty of bad people in the world. And I guess if someone starts it off in the wrong way, could it lead into something quite bad? I don't know, Vish. What do you think about that?
I actually fully agree with Marish. Of course I don't.
Hey, go on, Vish. Yes,
it
mate.
doesn't.
It's only taken us 8 episodes.
I don't think you heard the last thing you said, Vish.
Yeah, I don't think you heard. No, of course I don't agree with Marish. I think it's a little bit of.
Of course I don't.
Yeah, that's a little bit of nonsense again. So without going fully deep into my kind of idea on it, you've only focused on the war part, you know, the military side of artificial intelligence. But you know, it starts off very, very small in our day-to-day lives, with your smartphone, with you know, Hive, you know, with you know, things like you can control your lights and your radiator and heating from your home. Do you not partake in those things as well? So, you know, this quote from Stephen Hawking is very, very good, because it's very, very true. But to stop human innovation and progression of our race because of the bad eggs that we have means we wouldn't move forward anywhere, because you're talking about AI potentially, you know, being in the hands of one person and one wrong decision, screwing up everything. But let's rewind back to when the first bomb was made. Well, now bombs are bad, I suppose, anyway, in any way, shape or form, but it's very much part of the life that we live in today. Or let's rewind further back to the first gun, you know, rewind further back to the first sword ever made, you know, rewind further back to these things, which were used for hunting and gathering, and then suddenly, like that, it's a weapon. So it's at every stage of our society in the last, you know, few thousand years.
I think
it could have gone either way.
I completely agree with
something?
what you've...
Yeah. Oh, sorry, go on, Marish. I just want to answer one bit of what Vishal said, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I completely agree with what you just said, Vish, but I think that the one thing that I worry about is that, like, a gun got made, but then what happened? It went into wrong hands and people got shot. A bomb got made. It went into wrong hands and then people ended up dying. But the rate in which AI is going, all it takes is that the scale of damage is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That is in, like, I don't know, 20 years time, 50 years time. That means that everybody's gone. Everybody's gone.
What's more than an atomic bomb? Are you just saying a computer?
You know what?
Controlling the
Can
bomb
I actually say that? You know, Vishal, one thing about atomic bomb, I think, right?
Yeah.
Of course, atomic bomb was made, it dropped on Japan, unfortunately, and then no one's dropped it again. Why? Because they know the effect of atomic bomb. I think the issue with atomic bomb is a bit. If anyone's watched the documentary with about David Attenborough, sorry, you know, the one documentary when he done, like, you know, when you studied in Ukraine, okay, about Chernobyl, and said, like, the Chernobyl was one big actual explosion, but our planet's dying bit by bit. So I would say it's kind of the same thing, because bomb is a big thing. So now a few countries have atomic bomb, but no one can use it because it's a huge thing. I think the issue with artificial intelligence, those programs, okay, they can actually get into a lot of people's hands. So a lot of people can control. Eventually, nearly everyone's going to have, well, I mean, they will have their own robots, their own programs and stuff like that, you know. So I think you can stop nuclear bomb because it requires a lot of money to create it, and it requires some specific places where only specific governments can have. But when you're talking about programs and artificial intelligence, eventually that stuff's going to be everywhere, and nearly everyone's going to have some sort of control of it, you know. And yeah, it's a bit like little guns, I suppose, right? You know, so
my question for both of you is we both agree with each other that things can be used for good and bad, right? But I'm saying, why would we then not use it just because of the bad option that can happen?
It's true.
And if we did that with everything in life ever...
I'm not saying not to use it. I'm just saying that it could be really, really bad.
I'm just saying, if I go back to that Stephen Hawking's example, and I had to pick what side of my do I think it is? I think it's going to completely destroy us. That would be the option that I would.
Do you know what?
Go on, Pete. Go on.
Okay, so basically, I have a little bit different point of view, which I don't know why you guys are not thinking about. So, artificial intelligence is basically creating a new. What people are scared from is that actual machines have their own brain, a human brain, and realizing we are different races. And then, if you have the same brain, let's say, like in iRobot, for example, you have different brain. They're a different race. They realize that because they're artificially intelligent like us, and they have the what do you call it? All the feelings. They create all those feelings and decision making that human would make based on nature of humans. And for us humans, we have our goal is to survive. And if there's something in front of us that would prevent that, then we'll try and take it out, right? So my point is, imagine that happens where artificial intelligence is so developed that it's robot, so it's not them, it's not us controlling them, but it's them but not being controlled because they want to sustain themselves, right? And then they overtake us based on everything. And of course, that then my argue is then, how could you stop that when it's just smarter, faster, whatever than you, and you are in a way of its existence?
But can I ask Lena? I mean, because you know a little bit more, Lena. The human brain is so complex, right? I mean, a robot system, we're like 1,000 years away before it can even equal a human brain, right?
We're not. So right now we're using a form called narrow AI, which is basically an AI system that uses machine learning algorithms to do one specific task, like beating someone at the Chinese game Go, like the AlphaGo system did, or playing chess, or using it for ad delivery in that sense, or doing like other smaller tasks. Even like driving a car is like a more developed form of it, but it's still narrow AI. What you're talking about is artificial general intelligence. So it's AGI, it's basically super intelligence, the moment of AI singularity where we create a machine that will ultimately become as or of similar or same intelligence or better than that of a human. And that machine can then build another machine that's even more intelligent. So that's the point where we're going to go. And AI experts actually predict that the likelihood of us reaching that soon will probably be 2060. So that's only 39 years from now. That's going to be in our lifetime that we create super intelligence. So that is a little bit scary, but it's also really exciting to think about because
it is, yeah.
But in regards to what Peter was saying, I mean, isn't that a little bit Hollywood that these guys, AI is going to overtake and we will be left with nothing? I mean, you just unplug. It's just electricity. Without electricity, that's it.
Nah, it's not. They can create their own electricity.
Sun.
How can you unplug them? They're going to have sun.
You can unplug the sun.
No.
Well, the idea
They're going to
is
create
that
energy
AGI,
themselves.
No.
Well, it depends because
Yes, they
AGI
will.
essentially
No.
basically AGI will probably will imply consciousness. So it's going to be a conscious machine. It can think, do, feel anything that a human can. So I think our ideas of machine versus human is kind of going to go out of the window because we don't actually know what that's going to look like. But companies like OpenAI from Elon Musk and so on, they're already working on working on good protocols and ethics around AI to figure out what life is going to look like with AGI and how to manage it and make sure, because essentially the AI that we create now, and let's bring it back to like what we're using now. For example, doctors created an AI system to figure out whether someone had skin cancer or not. Great idea, right? So we're revolutionizing healthcare, we're helping people, we're finding better cures for diseases and stuff. But when they built that system, they kind of brought in some errors because we're humans, we're building a machine, we're inherently biased, we have unconscious bias. It's just natural, but we need to be more aware of that when building these machines, because what they did was take loads of pictures of cancerous cells, and they put I think a ruler next to it to figure out how big it was, so to understand the scale of the pictures, and then they fed the system, after they trained it, loads of pictures of people's skin cells, whether that was like cancerous or not. And the system always said they had cancer when there was a ruler in the picture as well, because the system learned skin cancer means they're also not just size, shape, color and stuff like that matters, but also there has to be a ruler in the picture, which is so stupid if you think about it. But that's something that people didn't think about when they built the system. So then they eliminated that problem, and then boom, you've got a system that can help millions of people figure out something before it even becomes an issue. And there's so many other
sorry, Lena,
applications.
just to quickly interrupt. See, that's one of the reasons why I'm so pro for AI, because even just little things. I thought kind of hear everyone's kind of point of view first, but I mean for me, and yeah, Marius, I kind of get what you're saying, Peter. I do get what you say, but I think the world's kind of, excuse my language, fucked anyway. With AI or without AI, if you think of the amount of man-made diseases, or whether people think global warming is a conspiracy or not, regardless, the world's with or without AI is going to come to a soon end, a lot sooner than what I probably would have predicted at the start of time. We're probably going to think
the world won't, but human race maybe.
Human race, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's why I was
would be
thinking. What is incredibly good. It might not be for us in terms of like our mission to survive and grow as a human race, but it might be good for the world. And I do appreciate that there will be a lot of good things about it. And until we get to the danger zone, as a human race, we'll be excited to innovate and explore the opportunities and automate as many things as we can, so we can eliminate bias and stuff like that in important works like doctors and and like in medicine and everything, or accountancy, and stuff like that. I think that's amazing, and I'm so pro that. So I'm in between. I'm thinking more about, would a different type of race we realize that we messing up their environment and maybe like put us in little cages and let her live some. Do you know what I mean?
Have you seen do you remember the bit of Matrix where the Mr. Smith, or the Agent Smith, right, was interviewing who was
Neo.
Morpheus. Remember that bit? Okay, when he he's like it's like you humans, you can't live in your environment. You take over environment, you destroy everything where you walk in. Remember in the bit where it says like, who else does that? It's like a parasite, isn't it? Like, parasite. Like, you guys actually a parasite. It's like, because everything in the nature actually lives with nature, kind of thing. Every single every single creature kind of thing lives there. And it's like, that's why we need to kind of move you out of this so everyone else could actually live, So,
but then,
my issue is, of course, humans have definitely flaws, right? We kind of mess up a lot of things, right? And I think as a human consciousness, right now it's kind of a bit awakening right now, right? So people start kind of more understanding about their own energy. I think a lot of people start understanding their energy bodies and the, like, what we call spiritual stuff, right? So which is kind of awakening in there, but suddenly we're going to create this super powerful consciousness outside of us, which probably going to turn around and think, actually, you guys are the worst thing here, kind of thing, right? Because you are the ones actually literally destroying in there. So if I was a robot and really logical, right? If he was to be logical, remember, I believe artificial intelligence, like if I was to be independent, I wouldn't give a shit about money. Why would you care about money? Because you could create your own money anyway. It's digital, right? You know what I mean? So the point is that if someone's kind of burning stuff off, like Amazon forests or whatever, if I was a robot or program, that makes no sense. So we just wipe them out. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you guys doing some shit in here, let me just wipe you out because that's logical. But maybe humans will take another 20, 30 years to figure shit out. You know what I mean? But artificial intelligence might not give us 20, 30 years to figure shit out. They might just shut us down because we are just not logical.
But
humans do so many unlogical things, isn't it?
But what's the problem with that then? Because let's say, things started, human progress started 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, right? Where we're at now after
technically it's like 30,000, but anyway.
Yeah, but where we're at now after 3,000 years, with what you just said, our flaws, taking time to work things out, not making logical decisions, where we could have been by now.
I mean, do you know that actually people had, apparently in India, there's proofs of nuclear weapon from nearly 20,000 years ago. In some excavations and stuff like that, right? And when the guy who created actually nuclear bomb in here and says you actually detonate first nuclear bomb, but his answer was first nuclear bomb in actually today's society. Because if you look through Bhagavad Gita's or whatever, this from very old kind of Indian stuff, apparently people had electricity, people had stuff like 10, 20,000 years ago. That's past our history.
I don't think they had it, but that's a different topic. I think that's
a different topic from historians, and that's actually recent history, last 50 years. Okay, the stuff we're actually reading is quite funny one, saying that Egypt started first civilization. That's not really true at all, actually. So my question is if we already had electricity and we already advanced nations, let's say 10,000 years ago, 15,000 years ago, something must have happened.
The understanding of electricity, not electricity.
Yeah.
I mean, no, not, yeah, but I mean, they did have, there was actually advanced civilizations 10, 15,000 years ago where somehow something happened in there. You know what I mean? So what my question is, you know, that somewhere we might lose control of what we're doing. And I agree with the Reese on that bit that we're already fucked. Sorry for saying that, right? In a sense, actually, humans did so many errors, and capitalism is neglecting pretty much everything apart of profits in last sort of, I don't know, what's it, 20, 30, 40 years kind of thing, right? But I think, we are creating something that's way more powerful than us. Even though I drive Tesla and I can't wait till it's going to be legal kind of to just kind of sleep in there whilst you're driving. There's so many little perks. But my issue is that maybe for those perks, we're giving away our freedom kind of thing. Are we not?
I've got a question. Sorry.
Lena's trying to say something.
To be fair, I think after the next question, Lena, I'm quite interested to hear your point of view on everything that was just said there.
Yeah, sure.
What's your point of view on that?
Yes and no. I think we have to be very careful on how we create it, but because we're the creators, we have the power to shape it in the way that it should be. And yes, as humans, we're flawed, so we just need to be careful of how we do this. But at the end of the day, I think there's a huge inherent need. Like Reese said, we're kind of fucked already. So we're a disease, we're a virus of the earth, and if AI can give us a way out by saving the environment. I mean, for example, just to put that into perspective, by 2050 we need to produce 50% more food than produced now to feed the growing population. So AI can help us figure out how to grow crops in a smarter way, do it vertically instead of horizontally, how to eliminate food waste and things like that. So there's a lot of applications that can help us in the short term make the future better and actually shape it in a much more positive way.
But
maybe we can grow our own food already. Like the issue is like stop huge companies actually destroying the earth.
We can't grow food already because how come there's so many countries still starving?
You know why? Because actually, if you look at actually what people done with hands, it's called I can't even remember actually. When you actually grow stuff organically with hands, like it is like there's so many examples of small places where people get about 20 times more value from earth than actually huge farms. Huge farms in Monsanto actually, destroying it, and actually they're leaving fields of, earth that's not even bearing any fruit in the end, okay? Because we're trying to make it everything mechanically.
Monocultures.
Yeah,
but that's another topic for another
That's
time.
different topic. What I'm saying, actually, exactly what you're saying. So there is enough food and there's enough earth as long as you let that earth to kind of regrow. You know what I mean? The same actually documentary David Attenborough said, remember that island where they actually created like 1/3 of space where you can't fish, and suddenly there's actually fish actually doubled and tripled instantly. So it's, I don't. But that's what my argument is. That sometimes do we need everything to be like nearly genetically modified in order for us to survive, kind of thing, or not?
Again, see, it does all make sense because even after all this coronavirus stuff that's happened at the moment, I mean, have you seen like in Venice and stuff like that, there was dolphins in the canals, and there's, I think sometimes when you do give things space, it can get better.
It can heal, yeah.
But I'm still way pro for it.
You sound like you're against kind of Reese, to be fair.
I don't know what you're on about, Mendel. I just think you're trying to push some buttons here, but it's not going to work. Peter, I know you have something to go on.
Sorry,
go
on.
Yeah, so basically my question was if
well upset to let that go though. He was like,
if robots become not only smarter than us, which I think they're smarter anyway because they put the data in there, but if they become like feeling humans pretty much, wouldn't they start messing up things that we're messing up? Wouldn't they have our decision making based on emotions like we do right now? Because technically, emotionally they're a copy of us. The information, the speed of information is probably not going to make that much difference because although we're slower in terms of like looking for the information, even if they have, it's not about information, it's about how you feel and how you get motivated to make decisions. So wouldn't that be the same problem? Wouldn't that make it even worse though? Because they become feeling, they become egoistic. Wouldn't that be like just multiplied?
Because essentially the data that you input that the AI is learning off, as long as that is not biased and it's clean data, it should make the most logical kind of
Gotcha. Yeah.
basically come up with the most logical solution based on what you're giving it. When it comes to emotional intelligence and consciousness of like how, like being self-aware, that is like a whole nother realm. But we've already seen AI Dream, for example. If you've never checked that out, definitely go Google it. It looks really freaky and weird.
Yeah.
But it's a question that we can't quite answer now. I think they're trying to look at what that would look like. But think of it as a child, right? Like all our our self-consciousness basically comes from our experiences, our memories, things that kind of shape us and make us who we are. AI essentially, or AGI, then when super intelligence will probably be like a child, right? It will learn off of all the vast data sets that we give it. So depends
Very
on the
clever
data
child.
that goes in, but I think it will eventually learn off of not just what we give it, but make its own conclusions. So it's a hard question to answer. I guess time will tell, and the important thing is that we're building it in a safe way, or at least we're trying to do it the best way possible.
But
So
this the thing that I'm not understanding here yet, especially from from Marish and Minde, is I'm not understanding your point. Like, do you not think that these same conversations were had when cars were invented? And like, hold on, whoa, you telling me someone can go 30 miles an hour in that, and if they wanted to, they could drive into my house, or they could drive into my kids, or they could drive into my field? Like, remember, roads were not normal. There was that sort of speed. It was not normal. It was like, hold on, wait, this could be very, very, very bad, because you saying that there's going to be like 100 of these on the road going at 50 miles an hour. Like, what? Like, there's going to be a crash, there's going to be this, there's going to be that. So you're speculating about the future that we don't understand. And when seatbelts came out from Volvo, just go research what people said about seatbelts, about how they're going to be a death trap, they're going to be this, they're going to be that, they're going to be like, it's so difficult to speculate about the future, and then to speculate negatively about it is just, I don't understand what you guys are saying. I don't think you've actually made one point yet.
I think that, okay, there's a few points I'm going to make then. So,
as long as they're
valid.
concise. Let's go.
You look like you're in your holiday home.
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling with my mandala.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're talking about cars, you're talking about all these developments in technology that have happened previously in the past. I don't think any of these developments have felt to the point where we're going to lose control.
You don't
as
know,
human
bro. You don't
beings.
know what they were saying 100 years ago, because that stuff's not remaining in history.
Maybe.
The naysayers are not in history.
Now
anymore.
my issue is going down a slightly different path. My issue is more down the path of what's our evolution, how are we evolving as human beings? And already, like, I'm seeing big changes in the way kids are brought up, in the way social interaction skills are being done, like the whole element of like going and meeting people and face-to-face interactions are massively dying over a period of time. A lot of people are going to be
Can I
like,
just
instead of
interject there
doing,
for a second?
yeah,
Like,
Oh, I can
if
see
you
that
go
coming
back-
there.
go on.
If you go
Yeah?
back 1,000 years,
Yeah.
people were dying of the fucking flu, okay? So
Okay.
life was really much worse back
Yeah,
then.
of
So
course,
don't you
of
think
course.
that AI is going to make it a much better place and help
Okay.
us not die of all these
Lena,
things?
Okay, cool.
Make
So-
it
so
I
let's-
mean,
better.
we're not
let's-
dying
let's-
from
let's
these things
focus-
already.
let's
Lena,
focus
we're
on the
already
point.
okay. Like, we're not dying from these things right now.
Let's focus on the
Yes,
point that
because
I'm
of science.
Science,
so let's-
no,
let's
we're not talking
focus-
about
let's-
science. So I like computers. I like us to be able to do shit fast. My question is, would I like someone else to do shit for me? And I don't like this non-in-control stuff.
So
Marius, are you
on-
evolved
I'll make
yet?
decisions for you. Yeah.
So let me just focus on the point I'm trying to make. So the point I'm trying to make is now we've got things like Alexa and this, where we're making demands to like computer systems that, and even the basic things like, I don't know, a sense of emotion, even the sense of saying please, saying thank you. All these things slowly will start dying out of out of our like habitual state, like because you're speaking to an AI system. You're not going to say please to an AI system. You're not going to say thank you to an AI system. We're just going to be molded into these unemotional creatures, yeah, that we're going to be like the computers themselves eventually. Yeah, we're going to be these robots that are just programmed to say what is necessary, and any sort of emotion or any sort of like conversation that has any sort of attachment or like it's all going to evaporate. It's all going to disappear.
Okay, over the weeks, you're following the same trend. What's your urge with keeping things as they are now in the present?
It's not keeping things as they are in the present. I'm not saying that. And I know AI is going to develop, and I know that's our future. I'm saying, do I agree with it? No. Do I have to accept it? Yeah. But do I agree with it? Do I think it's going to make us better? I think it's going to make us a really sad race.
Okay,
I think we're just going to be programmers. All of us are going to be individual programmers, ordering programs to like computers to like deal with our everyday habits. We're going to see human beings and we're going to be freaked out. We're going to be like, oh, what do I do? Like, what do I say to this person? This is another programmer. Yeah, I don't even know how to communicate to another programmer.
Future for me.
And the thing is, I'm so shocked to hear Myrish say this.
No more interaction.
Shocked to hear you say this, because I thought, Myrish, you would be the one person that if you could press a click of a button and get something to your door or your car drive.
I love delivery. I got delivery plus.
The point is,
I get the new iPhone every year. I love that stuff. Yeah, but do I think that it's going to get to the point where it's going to make us a really sad race? Then. Yeah, I mean, like jobs, like what would the job situation be in the future? The amount of jobs that are going to end up like getting lost, it's going to be crazy.
See, I think jobs is a very interesting subject, to be fair, because I know obviously Lena's told me a lot about. Lena, I'd like to hear your point on this before we start this debate, because I know we'd all have our opinions, but I want especially Myrish to hear this opinion first, and then he can give his
Lena,
facts.
you have to use really simple English because we've got Myrish.
Wow.
That
was low.
Why are we going like
Michelle,
that?
why don't you hold your pillow, man? Just hold your pillow.
Wow, that was
just hug your pillow, mate. Yeah.
So the question about jobs, Lena. So jobs, because I know that gets brought up a lot. That a lot of people feel like in the future, you know, one day like the human race just won't exist because jobs, you know, are going to be taken over, and there'll be a robot serving you in the supermarket or in the pub even. And people are complaining about obviously for myself being in hospitality.
That already exists in Korea.
I mean, to be fair, there's already a bar in Clapham Junction that I've been to myself. It's an Argentinian place that you go there, and I mean, there's no robots as such, but you go there, no one works there. You just go there and you press a button, the glass comes out, you put it back, it chooses where, you pay, and there's not one member of staff in there. Which I thought was super cool, because sometimes the last thing you want to do when people normally go for a drink at the pub is just go wind down. And being a bartender for 7 years, you like chatting to people, and sometimes you just don't want to do it.
No, but that's bullshit, Reese. I think it's cool because that's the only one. But imagine if every bar was like that. I'm like, you know, what if you got argument with your girlfriend, with your wife, you want to just go out to a pub and no one's there, you just pick up a pint and whinge to a bartender or something, innit? Or would you go in there?
Or whinge to a non-biased robot.
Okay,
yeah,
but how about...
Like, mate, do you know...
But he doesn't have a
girlfriend. How it feels when your wife
it doesn't work like that.
And he's like, yes, sir. Just get your shit together.
That's like the film. That's like the film Passengers. You know, Passengers. When he, and he starts talking to the barman.
That's what I was thinking.
Do you guys? Again, this is not. This is just an open question. Now, this future with AI, which is basically taking over almost every job, right? You understand most healthcare jobs, accountancy, lawyer. You know, these standard hospitality retail jobs. They won't really exist after AI is there because AI can do a lot better. Is there an argument for a future world where AI almost does everything and humans are just humans and live? Maybe even no money.
Wouldn't be super lazy, wouldn't we?
No money.
That reminds me of what's that Pixar movie with a little robot?
Up.
No,
Wall-E.
Wall-E. Yeah, sorry.
Where all the people are really fat and
they just get fat. Yeah.
And just rolling on a little scooters kind of thing because they can't walk.
Yeah.
That's exactly what me and mine are saying there.
Yeah. Vish is like, I can't wait for that.
You see, where my problem is,
I'm up for a world with no money.
Yeah.
Me too, but you know what my issue is? I think Lena's going to answer that because she has a bit more there. What my issue is that in last sort of 20, 30 years, okay, human population gone exponentially, right? But at the same time, in the last 20, 30 years, the amount of wealth that actually are not focused, like held by few individuals, kind of increased as well, right? So I mean, we're talking about 80 wealthiest people in the world that actually own more wealth than half of the world, right? So my issue is that the beauty, what I see from artificial intelligence, that actually, let's say we all can become creative, right? If artificial intelligence actually will take logical things, we can all just travel, paint, write poetry and shit like that, because everything what's logical should be able to be done, kind of thing, right? By robots, artificial intelligence, right? But if the whole wealth is actually inside of very few individuals, and we're talking about, 50, 60% of people, even in UK, for example, that are what they class themselves as working class, for example, right? They're still working, serving and stuff like that. And if there is no society, somehow, how they gonna be okay? I'm okay. I think, we all are entrepreneurs. We all gonna, make our own money, invest, whatever. But what about people who can't invest? So where are they gonna get income if they kind of jobs been replaced? Because I can't see political system that's gonna look after them in any kind of proportion.
I think it would be the same.
Jobs don't get lost. Jobs get replaced.
But that's what I'm saying.
More
So
jobs
people
in
will
IT,
have to become
more
more
jobs.
intelligent and stuff.
I think it would be the same.
But they've got to be qualified for that, don't they? They've got to be qualified to be able
How are you
to
gonna
do these
qualify like 50% of working class, okay, into?
But it's not an overnight thing, is it?
Yeah.
But
It
that
doesn't overnight.
that thing's going so fast, though, isn't it? We're talking about 20, 30 years right now.
Go on, Lena, what's your opinion on
I would-
that?
Sorry, I'll
also-
shut up now. I'm going to mute. Sorry, Lena.
I would also argue that more and more people are doing IT courses right now as well. It's just probably the most
It's going to
highest.
become the new normal, right?
Yeah.
So, if you think about it, AI is going to be like a second industrialization. So think about what happened in the first
perfect.
19th century. So of course, some people lost their job or their jobs changed. I don't like the word lost. I think it's very negative. I like the word replaced because I think yes, our tasks and the job structure will probably change a little bit because AI can take over menial jobs. But I think that's going to make us happier people because no one wants to faff around with Excel sheets all day or move one thing to another. So I think it's going to free us up to be more creative, more strategic, to have better relationships with people and stuff like that. And then
Yeah, 100%.
And is it also true that it would not, if we're kind of taking those away, like things like that heavy lifting and people operating cranes that yes will do it, then AI could do it itself. But do you not think when they're being replaced in that way, won't AI create more jobs anyway?
The BBC did a lovely little calculator a while back where you can figure out what your likelihood is of being replaced by AI. And I think the creative advertising industry was like 33% chance. So it's actually not as high as we think. And I can't remember who brought it out. I think the government actually did a study to see, and AI is actually going to create as many, if not more, jobs than it's going to take away.
So is it fair to say though there will be not a lost generation, but there's going to be a teething, stage where
change, yes. But if you think about it, it's not like we're going to have super intelligence and robots taking over the world from today to tomorrow. It's a long period, and 39 years it's not set in stone. It's expected to be sometime around then, but we don't 100% know. And just imagine how much data we're already producing. How think about the first time when you had a smartphone. Not that long ago, when the first touch screen. So things accelerate at an exponential time or level. So the same thing is probably happening with AI. So we're probably going to get used to it quite quickly. I mean, I think our supermarket is now offering self-checkout. You don't even need to speak to a person.
Well, I mean, that's
to,
actually something that Joe just said there. I mean, I know for us personally that we actually, and I do all my shopping from Amazon Fresh until that you realise that you forgot to buy salt and we have to go to Sainsbury's there, which is down locally to me. But even that local Sainsbury's, so kind of for me to answer that question,
other
Joe,
supermarkets are available.
But other supermarkets are available. But even for that, they've also got the option there. Because I know the question, the first Amazon Fresh shop is opened up in the UK, and I believe, I'm going to get this wrong, it's not Croydon, it's end of the Central Line, guys, if you can help me out. What's that called? Ealing Broadway. It's in Ealing Broadway.
Yes, West London.
And obviously you can go and just go check yourself out and go scan items yourself. But Sainsbury's do that also. And being very honest to me, I do sometimes like this to go into Sainsbury's and there's an app that I've got on my phone and I can scan it, I can pay for it on my phone and I walk out the shop. And there's no need for me to go to the tills or anything like that. So what do I believe about that? I mean, apart from the fact of when I first thought, you know, it's probably going to destroy loads of people's jobs, and that's what I did believe many, many years ago. But obviously being a bit more educated on it from Lena, you know, it is going to create more jobs for people anyway. So is it good? Is it bad? I mean,
I think also on
it's
that,
good.
a lot of people would be forced to go and learn something else to give more value, so they'll get better themselves at learning something else and getting better, because what they're doing is just simple enough so you can program a robot.
Peter, have you changed your stance?
I know, yeah.
Stance.
Your view?
Your point of view on AI. I think Peter was kind
Yeah,
of...
he's
No, no,
joining
no, no.
me and Midas.
No, it's not.
Joining
No,
Midas.
I'm not against them. Just my question is,
Same as Reese.
my problem or my fear is
know,
like
okay.
atom bombs, for example, are used by humans. They have to detonate them, right? They have to go and make a decision. Where
I think, yeah.
Where
Sorry, go on, Peter.
yeah, thanks. Where like AI, right? They make it themselves. You can penalize a person for doing it, right? For doing something horrible, but you can't penalize a robot for doing something horrible because there's other ones. They multiply. Right?
Unless we go back to last week's subject, there might be robot prison. I don't know.
Yeah,
Just never
but
know,
like,
do we?
but yeah, that's my point was, yeah, I think people would, on the good side, people would have to be forced to actually go and do something else that it's more meaningful, and they'll realize they're probably happier doing that because they've been put in a situation where they have to work in that Sainsbury for like 10 years, where they always hate it, but you know. So I think there's good things about it, but it's just like that. What do you call it? The AGI?
AGI.
AGI.
Yeah, I think that is where, and do you know what? Like a lot of people would develop it in a way. I'm just wondering, would there be that person that overrides, very clever like programmer that overrides all the like preventions and mitigations of the AGI going crazy and believing that we are horrible as a human race? Let me create something that will destroy us because we are horrible. Let me create a robot that goes and destroys us. You know, there might be some crazy scientists that do that.
Of course, but it's the same like back in the day when someone put you to prison and you had your gang and they came and broke you out of prison because they were a bit more powerful than the prison guards, innit? So there's always going to be just this level of fight, you know what I mean?
And to be fair, I don't think they need to wait for AI. I mean, you could have a crazy scientist that goes, I don't like the world as it is. Here's a cure for such disease. That kills us all off. You never know. You don't. I don't think we have to wait for AI.
I think it's just questions about being in control and out, and where artificial intelligence, because it's growing so fast, the most fear is that actually we are. My issue, I suppose, is like that you become out of control, and my issue is that I think what we forget. Well, again, I hope I don't come across here too hippie kind of thing, right? But humans are extremely powerful beyond our beliefs, because humans are kind of, well, technically we are robots ourselves, right? Technically we are just balls of energy walking around, and we can influence energy as well. But so instead of a kind of searching what we can do, which is trying to create something outside of us kind of thing, if that makes any sense, right? And I think that creates fear for people. Or, you know, like, you know, everything's going to be done by this kind of extremely powerful computer, you know, but our brain is kind of more powerful than a lot of other things, you know. So from one perspective, I'm not scared of that, but my issue is that actually we're kind of letting off our control, you know, hoping that someone's going to be better than us kind of thing.
I mean, maybe... Go on,
I watched
I think Lena wants to say, can we just let Lena say? Sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Sorry,
go
I'm
on.
going on mute again.
No, I was just going to say AI phobia is an actual like phobia. Like there's like people who are physically scared of AI, and I think it's a rational fear to some extent. But if you put that into perspective, 52% of our awareness of AI comes from TV shows or movies. And 80% comes from media exposure. So it's no wonder that we have like trust issues with AI. And I think that negative narrative needs to change, because there's so many amazing applications that will hopefully save our planet, save our environment, help us become happier, better people. I don't think fear mongering is the way to go. But there's a really nice quote that I read from the book Homo Deus. It's the second book in Homo Sapiens.
Yeah,
The book from
they are both
yeah,
somewhere here,
Harari.
like just above my shelf.
Yeah, so Homo Deus is all around like the technology and intersection between humanity and technology. And he said, and that's to your point, Minde, humans are essentially a collection of biological algorithms shaped by millions of years of evolution.
Yeah.
So maybe we're just not so different after all,
Yeah.
We not, it just
Yeah.
Oh look, Minde's changed his tone now as well, hasn't he?
We might create them in a way that they have compassion and don't kill us.
like
So Lena,
I'm cool with me being a robot. I'm cool. I have an issue with some other robot dealing with my shit.
So Lena, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
I watched a TED Talks on how AI can sort of create biased decision making, and one of the points they said was obviously we program to do a certain set of instructions, but then there's so many external factors that can never be included into a program that the human instinct sometimes makes decision making on.
Bingo.
And and they used an example of a kidney on a kidney transplant, trying to work out which person the kidney should go to, and obviously there was a program set for an AI to say that, like, give it to the person that's going to create a longer lifespan or whatever it is, and then they said that, however, if you was to take different races into consideration, and you was to take different ethnic groups into consideration, you would turn around and be like, well, hold on a second, certain ethnic groups statistically generally have a longer lifespan, and so that decision making process would be incorrect. David, you're on, mate. Do you want to go away? Yeah. So
that's our real human artificial intelligence.
That's what happens. See, when you rely on technology.
With human error.
Yeah, right. That's what you call it. Yeah.
So do you not think that that's my fear? I know, like, look, AI is happening. Yeah, we got to be on board, regardless of what me and Minde say. We got to understand that AI is going to happen, and things are going to develop, and we're going to have to understand it and come to terms with it. However, my fear is that it's moving forward at such a quick rate that I feel the end of our control over anything in the future is coming to a soon end. Do you not think that number one, that's something that could happen? And from your knowledge of AI, do you not think that the AI systems, depending on their creator or depending on their programmer, could have bias systems that could be multiplied at a very quick rate if it was to move forward?
That's, when you mentioned, Lena, before, you said if you put in clean data, and I thought the same thing. When we say clean data, what do we mean clean? It's generally most data comes from someone's, because data is very hard to make it clean,
Subjective. Yeah, it's kind of subjective. Well, I think the first problem is that the majority of people working on AI tend to be white men, no offense. So I think there's a huge issue of we need to promote more gender, race, any type of diversity and inclusion into the STEM fields, into fields where they work with data, with technology, with AI. I think that's going to make a big difference because we all have our unconscious biases, whether we like to think we don't or do. But if you think about, like, even just as an example on the unconscious bias thing, I don't know if you noticed a couple of years ago or so, UNESCO actually released a report called "I'd Blush If I Could," because voice assistants like Siri and Alexa, surprisingly women names, actually had basically really bad responses to things that you could say. So to your point of saying that you don't say thank you and please anymore, if you would tell, I think it was Siri, Siri, you're a bitch, her response was, oh, I'd blush if I could. I wonder who put that in there. That's just like,
That's quite
that's
funny,
the kind of stuff that we need to address more. And that's more of the issue that we're facing right now rather than in the future. But that's like one of the small things that we should be more aware of.
Because I remember
going
I
forward.
saw there was on Tony Robbins interviewed, is it that Sophia?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Sophia, like, it's the first robot that
as a passport, isn't it? She has a passport
became
now,
a citizen of Saudi Arabia. Yeah. And
Funny enough, Saudi Arabia doesn't even let their own women drive. The prince actually has his bloody daughter locked up, but they give a passport to a robot, man.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
that's just
yeah.
me.
And it's
Delete this
crazy
bit.
because there was a question he asked, and she actually turned round, turned round and actually responded saying, I can give you I can't remember exactly what she said, but I can give you an answer, but my answer will be biased based on the person that
Information that
programmed
I've
me,
been- yeah.
or something like that. But yeah,
That's
it
next
just-
level. That's next level. I mean,
But see,
she's
I'm okay
aware
with
of
that.
her bias.
I'm okay to program
Answer has been
robots.
programmed into her, just to
Yeah.
let you know, right?
See, like,
So-
I'm okay with programming stuff. I'm okay with cars driving us to places. I understand from a medical point of view that if I have an issue with my eye and doctor looks at my eye and maybe he's seen like 50 eyes in his life, maybe let's say 1,000, and I'm okay with a robot to scan my eye and check my eye's image with like another kind of 27 million images in a space of 30 seconds. But I'm not sure if that's called artificial intelligence. I assume that's just they're just programming a computer, right? Artificial intelligence for me is the thing that's learning itself and start taking
technology,
its own
yeah.
steps, isn't it? Or not? Or am I confused in here?
No, it is. So basically, you've got machine learning algorithms that are part of AI. So you can have very simple forms of where they react to a certain thing. Or if they all come together, then that's AI, and that's then a much more sophisticated way. So it's very different if you're saying in a very general AI system will make a choice of like which square to move on in a chess game based on what's the best strategy, because that's like the moves that it's learned to do, versus a self-driving car that's learned to figure out a lamppost is not a person, or that's actually a person, or what could it potentially crash in and what it couldn't, and how to understand depth perception and all sorts of different things. So to your eye thing, actually, there is an AI system that uses machine learning algorithms to figure out whether someone has like eye problems or cancer or like something else. And it's working quite well. So there's a lot of applications in that, but it's a very simple form and it's not a self-aware form.
I just
So
got one question.
Go on,
Can
go
I
on, Vish.
can I ask Marish and Reese, sorry, Marish and Minde and things like that. So it
What do you mean
seems
things
like
like that?
the inferior
means exactly
people,
what he
basically,
said.
Monday.
Marish and Minna and things like that. Anyway, go on, Michelle. I'm
And those
listening.
things.
and Peter as well, obviously. So you're quite happy with a certain level of AI involvement
Yeah.
in your life, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And-
100%. Because I
and-
don't know.
I'm happy with computers that we actually program. I'm happy with that.
You're definitely happy with
Yeah,
you're definitely happy with what's already out there now,
Yeah.
right? In terms of what's improved your life. In terms of, you're talking about Tesla's auto drive, you're talking about the, Deliveroo or whatever, the different things like that. So how are you putting a limit on it when we haven't seen the
I
full
think there's-
potential and the full capability of it? One second.
Clear.
And you like that shit now after
Yeah.
there's a sound, by the way, from someone's mic. I don't know who that is, but
I don't know if it's me.
you like that stuff now that it's a wide part of society. But at the point of inception, when it was a spoken about thing and an idea, at that moment there could have been loads of bad points on it as well. And people say, no,
I
that
agree,
kind
yeah.
self-driving cars is bad. I mean, there's still elements of the world right now that saying self-driving cars are bad, self-driving cars are bad. So I just don't get how you can pick and choose what parts of it that you want.
I think at any point in which I don't know, big life decisions come into play, or whether you choose whether someone lives or dies, or I don't know, like anything on a small scale, yeah, I can deal with, because it provides this little. I don't know. I think the word is convenience. If it provides convenience in different areas, yeah, fantastic, yeah, and brilliant. But if it's gonna suddenly decide, if it's gonna get to the point of, hold on a second, whether someone dies or lives, or a country dies or lives.
Why is a human better equipped to decide who dies or lives? Why is a human better equipped to decide who the kidney goes to?
Because the human
that's our
programmed
life.
them.
Sorry?
Because the human programmed it.
No. Why is a human doctor
Exactly.
better equipped to decide who the
No,
the
no,
kidney
I'm not
goes
saying
to?
it's better, Vishal. Okay, I love you. I mean, you're one of very few people I feel comfortable to sit in a car when you're driving. Generally, most guys, I'm actually okay. That's not no offense to girls and stuff like that. I don't know why, but that's maybe just my own life experience, right?
Because
You know
your
what I
wife
mean?
terrifies you driving, maybe.
To be fair, yeah, I'm just really bad passenger. I'm really bad to sit on the left now.
Passenger
Is
side.
it left? Yeah, left in
The
the
left
UK,
side,
right?
yeah.
So left or right, whichever, depends which country I'm in, right? I suppose. But like, I know I'm not the best driver, right? I know I probably, could kill myself. There's a reason why I ride motorbike the way I ride, because I don't want to have sports bike. I'll kill myself. But when I'm riding my motorbike or driving my car, I feel I'm in control, right? So if I'm gonna do a mistake, I'll pay for it.
If you're one of 4 patients, Minde, and it's
Yeah, but
either a
what-
human doctor deciding whether you get kidney or an AI, you still have no control.
Okay,
of that,
no.
right?
About doctors, to be fair, I agree with a lot of stuff. Actually, generally, I rather trust a computer that actually runs a database of 30 million things in 30 seconds than a
Let's end it
doctor.
there.
Than a doctor
Yeah.
who actually hasn't slept,
Till next week,
for
guys.
like 48-hour shift, for example. I have a lot of family doctors, right?
Exactly.
sometimes
It
I think,
eradicates
geez,
human error.
this guy's been on 7 coffees, haven't slept for 2 days, and now he's going to operate. Rather just do a laser. So there's bits.
But Minde, no, I'm talking
no,
about
but
the
hold
choice.
on.
The
I think
choice.
robot and artificial intelligence is different. Robot has been pre-programmed. That's different, isn't it? My problem with artificial intelligence when they start making decisions. And I don't want logical decisions, because you know what Maharaj just said about gut feeling, right? We all hear stories how, there was a crash and some, like, I don't know, grandma lifts up a truck to save a child, right? We don't know how that happens. So my point is that actually, say it again, Lina?
It's usually an adrenaline rush, and that gives you.
Exactly. But I'm saying that actually we have some bits we don't know how to tap in just yet, right? So we have so much more power as humans, which we don't really operate on because we have no clue,
No full capacity,
right?
yeah.
So my issue is actually if I'm gonna give everything away to a kind of robot creating my own reality, then when am I creating my own reality?
It's like
Myrish, unfortunately,
Guys, we gotta go.
I'm going to have to cut it there. I think this is probably the fastest hour that's ever gone by. Normally, we're kind of thinking, what's going to be said next. Lena, I'd like to really thank you for jumping on board, and as kind of predicted,
thank you, Lena.
I didn't feel like there would be
Thanks,
a
Lena, sorry.
conclusion to
Cheers,
this.
Lena.
Thank you, Lena. I didn't feel
No
like
worries. We
there'd
can
be.
talk about it more another time.
Exactly, yeah. I'm sure we can have you on again. But guys, look, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for this week. As predicted, I didn't think there'd be a conclusion to come to this, but it was really interesting to hear everyone's facts. So for the panelists, thank you very much for sharing your opinion. For all the guys that were watching live, thank you very much again for watching live and sharing your questions in there. And until next week, guys, if you do feel free as well, if you want to post onto our Instagram pages for anything that you'd like for us to discuss or anything you'd want to personally hear us debate, then do make sure you message in or make sure you message one of us on any kind of social media platform. And again, guys, is AI going to be better or worse for the human race? As Myrish clearly put, I don't know, but we're just going to have to get used to it anyway because it's happening. But thank you very much, guys, for joining in, and I will see you next week for episode 9 of Mental Soft Scripts. Thank